Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Ironheart finale. We'll talk about that more discussion-wise at the very end, but I think it was a great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we have the opening, which kind of rewinds and gives us more insight into the flashback we got. Was it episode 4 about John and Parker breaking into Arthur's place. And now, while they're trying to escape, obviously they separated, but Parker was on his own. And lo and behold, he's in that little tunnel, meets a mysterious stranger already wearing a cloak. I was like, they're doing it. They're doing a thing. And lo and behold, they did it. And it's exactly who the rumor said. Like, it was a while ago, because obviously the show was filmed a long time ago. It's been like, I think they might have done some refilming and changing some things like over the course of time. But the show was like roughly done a while ago, but I don't know if they filmed extra stuff in that time frame. Whatever the case may be. And the rumors for a long time were Sacha Baron Cohen is playing Mephisto. And lo and behold, they did it. At first I was like, they didn't do the red thing. But we see later on, like in the scene, in the final scene between him and Riri, I thought it was like a nice touch. I had to rewind because I was like, did I see what I thought I saw? You rewind and look at it. When he's stirring up his drink and he has his spoon out, the reflection shows his face red. So I was like, oh, that's good. I love the subtle touches. Like, hey, he's not going to, we did the thing. He's just not going to look like that all the time. Understandable. When you're making deals, when you're making devilish deals with people, you don't want to look like a big scary devil all the time, right? You want to look charming and trustworthy. So I even love he plays into it, does different accents, because when he initially meets Parker, he's doing an American accent, but he kind of brings out like, different accent later on. So I just think that's interesting. But yeah, he's like, yeah, Parker, like, I'm a big fan of you, guy. Like, the fact is what you want. And I love that he's just annoyed by that family in the back. He's just like, and he freezes them, and like no one else notices. It's like, was that you? He's like, that was me. But it's like, come on, I can make, what do you want? He's like, I want this. He's like, no. He's like, I want this. No, stop. Okay, if you're going to keep wasting my time, this is just a waste of time. I'll go. He's like, no, okay. He's like, tell me what you want. He's like, I want to be rich. He's like, okay, good. How rich? He's like, I want to be stupid, filthy, greasy rich. He's like, oh, yeah. And Parker's just like, I want to be king. And I love that he's like, you want to be rich as him, and flashes Arthur. No, richer than him. It's like, yeah, it's the thing of, I want to be my father. No, I want to be better than him. I want to make him regret ever giving up on me. And once again, I said it last episode, the son you abandoned became a man that is greater than you in every way. And how did I get that greatness? I snatched it from you. But that's also the thing, you didn't earn it, and you feel like you kind of took the cheating way out, but you're kind of like, who cares? You got to cheat your way to get power. And at the end of the day, it's like, oh, what is it going to cost me? And then I love that Mephisto's like, well, I keep conflating it in my head. It's either he said it's not going to cost you it's not going to cost you something you're not even going to notice or miss or something like that. And we still don't fully know what the price is that Parker paid. I don't think the scars are necessary. They're a byproduct, but they're not the price. The argument, and he even started wondering this near the end of episode 3. He was like, was John part of the price? It's like you had to give up your one family member you had left. To be fair, you basically, the price to pay was your entire family, your entire crew that you put together. You sacrificed all that love, the legitimate family you had, just so that you could pay back your biological family and your father to like destroy him and take everything he had. And all it cost you in the end to destroy one family was destroying the one you made. So it is interesting that I guess at the end of the day, that could be the price. It's still unclear. But he leaves the cloak to him. He's like, oh, well, how do I look? And he's like, well, you look like shit, but given enough time, you're going to look like the king you want to be. And then he bounces. And then present day, he's at the dinner table. He's got it all, the money, the power, and everything. But it doesn't mean anything because it's lonely at the top. The only compatriot he has is Zeke. And Zeke's not here willingly. Like, Zeke's literally, the moment he gets a chance, he tries to stab you with a fork. But you programmed it so that no one can harm Parker. So it's like, he's like, not even you. So the guy doesn't even want to be with you, saying all the things that your father told you last episode. It's like, look at you. Look at like how ridiculously you're wearing this coat, this cloak, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, the fact is, you're in this room, you got all this power, but no one's going to believe you. You don't belong here. And no matter what you do, no one's going to believe that you do. And he's like, You're right. So let's go. And I was curious to see what he was going to do. And he goes to Mephisto, and Mephisto's like, hey, I was making deals with other people, which I'm like, you don't, doesn't involve a certain guy dressed as a spider, do you? Because that's also the thing, because Mephisto is part of the, was it, One More Day storyline, which people have, said, like, right, No Way Home was a very, very, like, twisty adaptation on that. Like, instead of Mephisto, it's Doctor Strange. But the point is, like, certain elements of One More Day were used in No Way Home, minus the Mephisto of it all. But, Brand New Day is supposed to take place after, like, storyline wise in the comics is One More Day, and then Brand New Day is like the after effects after Peter gave up his marriage to Mephisto, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. And the aftermath of that is Brand New Day, which Brand New Day is going to be the next Spider-Man movie, which is after Fantastic Four, the next MCU movie, unless they move Spider-Man like they did Doomsday, because it was supposed to originally come out between Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm going into the whole thing, but who knows what other dealings he could be making. Maybe it's, maybe he reaches out to a certain Peter Parker going through whatever he goes through during Brand New Day, is what I was trying to point out, or maybe someone else. Maybe some other characters. I don't think Mephisto has anything to do with the Ghost Rider stuff. I actually don't remember who sets up the whole Ghost Rider deal. I googled it really quickly. At least Johnny Blaze. I'd assume all the other Ghost Riders, even Robbie, has their power come. But it's like Zarathos? It's a very specific demon, so it's not Mephisto. But I'm like, well, the MCU could always change it if they wanted to, depending on what their plans are for the future for the Ghost Rider situation. But I was just curious, like, if Mephisto ever had. I mean, maybe somewhere in the comics, maybe he has had something. But like I said, quick Google search, Zarathos is the first name that popped up. So maybe Mephisto never has anything to do with the Ghost Rider side of things. Either way. My point with the whole thing was, like, other than Peter, maybe there was maybe it's just regular people who are making deals. Maybe we'll never know who he's interacting with. He even says later on, like, oh, like, on a list of celebrities, like, the top 100 richest people, I've interacted with them, 14 kings, 3 popes, and a Beatle, Ringo. I'm like, why you gotta single out Ringo? Come on. I mean, I guess you can't do Paul McCartney, but, I mean, come on. Why Ringo? You can feel bad for Ringo, because Ringo's, like, gets labeled as, like, the butt of the joke when it comes to the Beatles. But that's why I was like, oh, come on, why Ringo specifically? You could have kept it vague, but no, you went out of your way to be like, it's Ringo. But nevertheless, I'm going on a tangent. But either way, going back to it, Parker confronts Mephisto, and it's like, no, like, I need more. This isn't what you promised me, because it's not enough. Once again, like he was told, because it was all empty. It's like, yeah, I got to the top, but at the top it's lonely. You don't have anyone by your side except for, like, the human cyborg that you're basically forcing to be with you. You're alone. Your family's dismantled. They're going off without you. There's no getting them back. You don't have John by your side, who was by your side through it all, but he's dead now, so you are alone, and none of that power or anything. It's like, this isn't what you promised me. It's like, well, that's the monkey paw. Be careful what you wish for, you always got to read the fine print. The problem is, you never even looked in the direction of the fine print. You didn't even care to look for it, towards it. So, but it's kind of like, yeah, he's Mephisto going full, like, hey, watch your tone with me. I don't like your tone of voice. I gave you exactly what you wanted. The fact of the matter is, all right, you want it, you need to keep the cloak. Keep what I gave you. And it's like, well, the longer I keep it, the more powerful it gets, right? And then he bails afterwards. But that's kind of it. But you can tell he knows, like, he's setting Parker up because he knows Parker's not going to be able to keep that jacket. But it's like, I mean, the hood. He's like, go ahead, just try and make it happen. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. So at the same time, Riri is doing everything she can to try and bring Nat back. It's like, come on, come back. But nothing she's doing is working. It's like, it was a freak accident that led to Nat being made as that AI the first time around. And then her mom is even saying, like, that's not the real Nat. Like, because in her mind, for her, it's like, no, you're conflating it. Like, I know you miss her. She was supposed to be your, like, I mean, she had that conversation with Xavier, not with her mom, but, like, she doesn't want to go back to a life without Natalie. And they know how much this means to her to lose Natalie again. But it's like, no. It's like, fine. I know what I need to do. I'm gonna face the hood, and she probably thinks like if I can get some of that, if I could go ahead and deal with that one problem at a time. Parker's something I can deal with immediately, but I do think on some level she's thinking if I can get the hood too, maybe some of that extra power can be used to like process some stuff and make. Because she's even trying to say like I'm trying to understand like the magic of this of like why it costs me Natalie because it magic like if any there's always a price to pay. Full Metal Alchemist, we're talking alchemy versus like full-blown magic, but still applicable. It's like they're quote-unquote equivalent exchange, but the point is there will always be a price. She was told there was going to be a price, and she was willing to pay it and just didn't realize what it was going to be. But she's not correlating and connecting. That's like, right, one problem at a time. So she goes to Parker's base, suited up, and goes toe-to-toe with Ezekiel, and they tussle it out. He's trying to like rip into her suit and stuff like that, but it's like, right, I think you got hacked. He's like, yeah, no duh. And obviously he's kind of pissed at her for why were you here in the first place? And she's like, okay, dude, I'm gonna have to hit you in the groin. And he's like, what? It's like, it's gonna reset your system is gonna go into crisis mode. He's like, yeah, and then it'll allow you to hack in and put me in reset mode. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have to do this. And once again, like, I love when he's fighting, he's just like, he kind of gives Huey energy. Like, Huey kind of does the same thing when he's fighting and doing something terrible. He's like, I'm so sorry that I'm doing this. He super gives Huey energy from the boys specifically. Either way, but yeah, she kicks him in the nuts. He's like, yep, good shot, good, clean shot. She's able to reset him, but it's like, you and me, Riri, we're not done. Like, deal with Parker afterwards, but you and me, like, he's like, because for him, it's like, Joe and you being friends, Joe is dead. Like, the fact of the matter is, I've got millions in illegal weapon and tech, and I'm stuck as Zeke. And, like, my name is out there. There is no going back. Once again, I broke out of prison, too, so I have to disappear. But you and me, we're not square. We're not done. Deal with Parker first, but because the character, much like his father, is a supervillain in the comics. So it is a thing of trying to fight legacy in so many different ways. Once again, driven by their father's legacies, whether it's Riri and Gary, whether it's Arthur and Parker, and whether it's Obadiah and Ezekiel. So yeah, but then Riri goes to face Parker, and he talks about, like, look at you now, brand new suit and everything. He's like, admit what you are, Riri. You're a criminal. You came here for the hood because you want the power. She's like, that's not it. It's like, on some level it is, because you're probably hoping, well, to stop him, but because you also don't want to put him down, because that was the conversation, I believe, last episode. Zelma had said, like, the only way to stop Parker is you'd have to most likely put him down. But she's like, no, there has to be another way around this. I know I can do this. So she doesn't want to have to kill him. And he's like, nah, like, if you're going to want it, you're going to have to come get it off me. He turns invisible. He's got his guns drawn. But she uses the magic built up in the suit. And he's like, oh, so magic. All right, so I guess this is going to be a fair fight. And they tussle. Like, he's got superhuman strength. And because the longer he's keeping the cloak, the more powerful Mephisto is making it. So they're tussling. And him going, like, full, like, demon mode. Like, his face is shifting and turning like that. And he's got claws, and he's like legitimately ripping into the suit. I was like, ugh, this is scary, like being tossed around. Like she literally knocked him against the desk and was like punching him full on with the suit, and he was tanking it. So quite the scary tussle as he's losing himself more and more. Like, his eyes are pure black, his skin's turning gray, his teeth. He's going full Morbius. He's Morbin right now, right? And then she self-destructs the suit. I was like, that's brutal. But then he comes out, it's like, yo, like, what did he say? Like, he's like, I know it's stupid, but I trusted you. Everyone trusted you. But the beautiful thing in that moment, you're like, is he talking to Riri or is he talking to himself? He's using it as an excuse to say he's talking to Riri, but really, he's talking about himself, because when he's seeing Riri down like this, it's the personification, the word I couldn't think of a couple episodes ago. Her bailing away from her mom was like the personification of her running away from everyone. I couldn't think of that word, but this moment is the personification of the choices and the deals and the circumstances that have led Parker right to this moment. There's a little truth of everyone trusted you, Riri, that's why we're here, but also you had your part to play in it as well, of the road we're down. but it turns out it was a hologram. I did think it was interesting because I was like, "Am I tripping?" It's like because the bruise is on the other side of her face, and I think that might have been like supposed to be the point was because it's a reflection. It's not the real Riri. Because you could make the argument maybe her other cheek was like bruised too, but I'm like, no, that's definitely on the right side of her face, the bruise. But in that sequence, it's on the left. So I was like, oh, could that? I was like, maybe she just easily bruised on both. But like I said, I think it's a reflection, so I think that's why. But yeah, she got the drop on Parker and snatched the hood off him, and he's kind of going through withdrawal. He's like, no, I need it. You don't know what it's like without it. And she's like, I know, because she knows what it's like to the only thing you have in this world kind of taken from you, where it's like Gary, Natalie, losing Natalie again. I know what you're going through, and so she takes off with the hood. But as she's leaving, has a good old meeting with the devil. He starts off in the American accent, then he shifts over, and he's like, Riri, I've been watching you for a while. He's like, you don't want to sit on that clunk of thing. Let me deal with that for you, and kind of boots her out of it and turns it invisible. She's like, great, another asshole with magic. He's like, hey, that's mean. I was like, come on, you'll get it back. Pinky promise. And he's sitting down and, he does that devilish deal for you where it's like, I've been watching you. I'm impressed. The fact of the matter is, I'm the one who makes the deal with those who are unseen, unheard. Your genius is taken for granted. Like, no one sees what you're going through and what you've been through. Like, I've been watching you. In fact, I've been rooting for you. And it's like, I can, he's like, yeah, I deal with, asshole people and terrible people and whatnot. But you, with your once in a generation mind and my skills, we can do something and put together something iconic. And Riri calls him out being like Dormammu, and then he busts out laughing. Dormammu, he makes some reference to like, I wouldn't even clean my asshole with him or something like that. But I was so curious. I was like, because I brought it up the past 2 episodes, like, what is like the demon ranking between Dormammu and Mephisto? But for Mephisto to laugh like that, it's like, Dormammu's my bitch. Like, don't even put us in the same level. And so he's just like, yo. She's like, who are? He's like, oh, sorry, I haven't introduced myself. I have a many names, some of which are very mean and hurt me. I'm curious what Mephisto's other names are, but I wonder is he kind of like Dream from the Sandman in Vertigo or DC, where it's just like, he's got Dream, Sandman, Morpheus, like he's got like a shit ton of names. I'm sure it's probably the same for Mephisto, but he's like, I'm Mephisto. The music swells and Riri's just like, is that supposed to fucking mean anything to me? Which I'm like, it's an inside joke because once the people who wrote the show know they're leaning into the meme of it. Once again, people have been screaming Mephisto since WandaVision. There was even that bit in when they were looking for the other, what we later on found out is Sylvie, but initially it's like, I think it's episode 2 or whatever. Maybe they introduced like the blue bubblegum, and there's the whole conversation of like, it was the devil, and people were joking like, maybe it's Mephisto now, right? So it's been the meme, it's been the joke. People even wondered like, would we get Mephisto and maybe Agatha all along? We didn't. We got it in Ironheart. That's always been like the rumor and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a little like, because she's like, does that supposed to mean something to me? I mean, it's kind of an inside joke to the audience. It's kind of like funny and cheeky in that way, but also legitimately, it doesn't mean jack shit to... It doesn't mean anything to Riri because magic isn't her world, so that name won't mean anything. But it's just like, no, like, I can make this deal. I can give you back what you want. And for her, the thing she wants back is Nat. And then they hard cut away from it. And you're like, what did she do? And so she's doing all the stuff. She's trying to make this happen. And Natalie just randomly appears. She's like, oh my God, yes, you're back. You're back. And I was like, I was kind of getting this feeling because she's like, what's going on? I was like, that's not the AI Nat anymore. That's the real Nat, isn't it? Because I'm like, she shifts to different outfits and stuff like that, but that's specifically the outfit Natalie was wearing when she died. AI Nat has worn that too, but still, I'm like, I had that feeling. And so we cut back to the deal. He was like, what I want, you can't make happen. He's like, death. He's kind of talking about how it's like, it's not the complicated thing people kind of make it out to be. And it's like, what's the price going to be? He's like, it's something, once again, the same line to Parker. Once again, whether it's like something you're not even going to notice or something you're not even going to miss. And ultimately, Riri does make that deal because the whole conversation was about like, he's like, yes, people tell you that bullshit all the time about how a wound heals with time. It's like, no, it doesn't. It stays and it hardens. So it's like you might as well take this chance because your pain will never go away. So why not make the deal of a lifetime? And it won't cost you anything. Nothing you're going to notice. Nothing you're going to really miss. And then Nat touches her and she's like, how did you do that? It's like, I touched your forehead. She's like, I don't know, I reached out and touched you. It's the real Nat brought back. And Riri's like, right, promise me it's not going to involve anyone else, that it's just going to be me. And it's like, that's the problem when you're dealing with something you don't know what you're messing with, and you were told by Zelma again, you experience yourself, but there's always a heavy price to pay. And in the moment, the last shot of the main part of the episode is her hugging Nat, and then the scars creeping across her arms. Now, what does that entail? Will be interesting to see what the future has in store for Riri on that front. Obviously, there's a lot more story to tell. Like, this isn't closed because, the aftermath of like, right, Natalie is back from the dead. You're breaking some cosmic laws and stuff. A certain Sorcerer Supreme, because I think Wong is still the Sorcerer Supreme, but you are breaking some balances in the world doing that. But that's the thing. It isn't just going to be like Riri who has to pay the price. It never is. When it comes to magic, everyone around you pays the price. That's the ultimate price. And Nat is going to end up being a tool. She's going to be a bargain chip into this, where it's just probably very similar to like Mephisto, similar to Mephisto taking Peter and MJ's marriage away from them to bring back Aunt May. Like, there is nothing in life for free. You might not always see the price. You might not even be able to guess the price, but it is always there, and it is always a hefty one. And then we obviously have the post-credit scene, well, mid-credit scene, really, where Parker walks. I was curious like what's going to happen to him. It's like, well, he doesn't have the cloak. He still has all that stuff signed, but I don't know if like Arthur's going to like reevaluate that, because like Parker can't reinforce that. He can't threaten any of them anymore. But all the contracts have already been signed, but those could be null and void. You could be like, it was made under distress. Granted, you don't know that Parker no longer has the cloaks and the hood, so I don't know how that works. But where does he go? He goes to Statton's at the end and meets with Zelma, and he's like, I need some heavy duty magic. He's like, someone supreme. So I'm like, right. I was almost halfway expecting. I'm like, are we gonna? Is Benedict Wong gonna make a cameo appearance as Wong? But no. Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure he's still Sorcerer Supreme. Like, Strange still hasn't gotten that title back. But yeah, like, I'm interested to see where that goes, especially because I'm like, I'm also surprised Parker's not dead by the end of this. Granted, he still has the after effects of that whole thing, so there's always room for him to somehow, because I'm sure Riri still has the hood. She probably has it stowed away somewhere, because there is no destroying that thing, so she most likely has to seal it away. So there's probably a good chance Parker somehow eventually steals it back to become the hood again. I don't know. Or maybe he's going to try and go to like this, like Wong or whatever, to try and get like either a replacement or some fix-all that he's going to manipulate into helping him get. Like, it's like, you're going to help me, cure me, but really I'm going to use whatever you give me or your help to steal back the hood and get back what I want. It's not like a fully resolved ending. Like, there's still a lot of loose threads, and the question then becomes, well, where will we see some of these threads pulled at in the future? Because this was kind of pitched maybe as a miniseries. Marvel has at least, it's in a complicated situation because Daredevil is getting a season 2. There are very few things that have gotten a second season. You can make the argument about the WandaVision to Agatha All Alone, whether that technically counts. There's been the rumors about them having a Champions TV show. So that could and there's also like the Vision TV show that technically would be like the trilogy of WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and like I said, maybe the Champion show is kind of being like an Avengers like cross up of like the new generation of here, so, but low key, What If, and there was Hawkeye conversations, but those are kind of on the back burner now after like the conversation with Jeremy Renner about like the money situation. If you know. So that, but my point is like Daredevil's like the only thing for sure that's kind of gotten a second season. I don't know if they're still currently filming or whether they've wrapped filming on season 2 or not. But my point is like there were talks about going forward with the Marvel stuff on Disney Plus. It would be more street level, despite the tech and all. This was and magic. It is still relatively street level, but there's a lot of heavy tech and heavy cosmic stuff involved in this, bringing in other dimensions and demons and stuff. But do plan to do more seasonal television rather than things being one-offs. That they would just not. No, we're going to do multiple seasons of things. But like that might just. I don't know if this would technically count, because this and even something coming out later this year is Wonder Man are all part of like once again, this was filmed years ago. Once again, how much they've done and added and refilmed or re-edited in new stuff or what, I'm unclear. But who knows what this show's fate is in the grand scheme of things, because I legitimately, with what's coming up, what we know of, like we know there's Spider-Man, there's Fantastic Four later this month. Spider-Man's like next July, and then there's Doomsday and Secret Wars are like all we know for sure. So like where any of these threads will be picked up again, who knows if they'll like pull on the Riri thread. I'd love it if they did, but probably not, especially with everything else they're already juggling, like just on the movie front alone, not including the TV shows. It's a lot. So I don't know. I'd be perfectly fine with a season 2 considering how it ended. Like, I hope they do make the choice like, no, we'll give this a season 2. I hope that is the case, but it's probably unlikely, like I said, because this is from like the older era of like Marvel television versus like the newer era. I don't know. Even though it's coming out during the newer era, it was produced and kind of filmed during the old era, so like it was designed on that front. So I don't know. I would love more with Riri, because I'd love to see, for one, where the story goes, considering all these open-ended threads that could easily be pulled on. Because I'd love to see like what the price continues to be for Riri, like what the aftermath of all of this will be. With Nat's return, what does that mean? And like how that return has changed her. Like, is she like kind of like Ezekiel was being controlled by Parker? Like, I'm sure Nat's in a similar boat when it comes to Mephisto. When's the next time we'll potentially see a Mephisto? Like I said, maybe the only other time I could see him potentially popping up might be a Spider-Man Brand New Day, or maybe like one of the future Spider-Mans beyond Brand New Day. Stuff like that. I don't know. If this is all we get, which would be such a bummer, TV show wise, it'll exist in a continuity that could eventually be pulled on, but with everything going on, who knows if they take time. But to everyone involved with the show, cast, crew, from top to bottom, I want to thank everyone. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I'm sure that's going to play a big part in whether or not the show continues, or what future Ironheart and these characters have in the MCU. It's the reception of the show. I know there's probably a good chunk of people who didn't like the show. That's perfectly fine. We're not talking about like a certain section of the internet. In general, I'm sure there's people like, I just don't think it was a good show. You're perfectly entitled to that opinion. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really liked it. I'm sure I'm in the minority on that opinion. But regardless, I liked the show. Please don't jump down my throat. You didn't like it. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. As long as you're not an asshole about like not enjoying this show, then that's perfectly fine. You can have criticisms, just don't be an asshole about it. That's just my take on it. Because there's a difference between, I just didn't enjoy it because this, and this, versus I didn't enjoy it because it was woke garbage. Tangents and all that aside, my point is reception is going to be a big factor in that as well. But like I said, also the restructuring of how they plan on going forward with Marvel television. So it just sadly is in a very precarious spot. But like, once again, I want to thank everyone, the creative team behind the show. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure other people did. But, I think it was still worthwhile telling the story, and I enjoyed it. And fingers crossed that whether it's a season 2 or just some future in the MCU, I hope we do continue this storyline. But yeah, I've run my mouth off long enough. I'm going to end things there. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.